My name's Dave Pettigo, and I am the Vice President of Emerging Technologies for CEDIA. The reason I wanted to talk about this subject today, the improving the quality of lives through IoT, is because it's something that's resonated with me for a long time. So a long time ago, I used to work with a lady named Casey, and Casey said to me, "We're not saving babies." And she was absolutely right. When we're putting in high-end audio video, when we're putting in distributed audio, we're making people happy, and making people happy is a good thing, but it doesn't automatically mean that we're improving their quality of life. And I think that over the last year or so, we've started to see some changes that are enabling our industry to actually help improve people's quality of life. So, real quick, who I am. I work for CEDIA. I've worked for CEDIA for 14 years. I oversee a whole bunch of different areas. Just at the end of the day, I'm the staff nerd. Walt, you're nerd 2.0. You're a little less nerdy than me. If you got any questions, please ask. I'm happy to answer them, and we'll go from there. So first of all, I'm hoping that all of you have heard the term IoT before. What does IoT stand for?
Internet of Things.
There you go, Internet of Things. Now the next question is what is IoT? What does that mean?
Hardware that's connected to the internet, and you want to make them all talk to each other.
2 out of 2. It is a global set of hardware that is connected to the internet via sensors. So mass sensorization is another way to look at it. So at this point, everything is connected to everything. So first of all, we have to look at, has IoT grown? Of course, IoT have grown. How many of you heard the term IoT 5 years ago? 3 years ago? Okay, just a couple of you. Now it's everywhere you go. All it means is that we're putting sensors everywhere. In 2016, we shipped 621 million internet-connected devices in the United States. 2017, 671 million. 2018, 715 is forecasted. So we are going towards mass sensorization. Now, is that automatically a good thing? Yes and no. We'll get to that in a second. But if you look at this, we are looking at right now, there are roughly 20 billion internet-connected devices. By 2025, 75 billion internet-connected devices. Are all of those going to be great internet-connected devices? Absolutely not. A lot of them are crap, but a lot of them are going to serve a purpose. So, here's some of the ones that don't mean much. Here is a pan that can tell you how to cook and make sure that you're not burning your steak. An internet-connected wine bottle to tell you if your wine's gone bad. We've gone centuries without that. I think we're fine. I could use this. Anyone seen the Belty before? It is a internet-connected device that realizes when you've eaten too much and it starts to squeeze your stomach. Obviously, I could really use one of those. Here is a internet-connected egg holder. This will tell you how many eggs you have, and it'll tell you if the eggs are starting to go bad. Again, it's really easy to tell if the eggs are going bad. Anyone know how to tell if your eggs are going bad? Just put it in a glass of water, okay? Internet-connected rectal thermometer. Don't think we need that. Okay, just a couple more here. This is an internet-connected salt shaker. Dumb. There's a good motto when it comes to things as to just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is my biggest example right here. This is the internet-connected hairbrush, and it tells you if you are brushing your hair enough or not enough. So for the ladies here, you've got long hair there, reasonably long hair. Do you want to know if you're brushing your hair enough? Definitely not. How can you tell if you're brushing your hair enough? You can feel it, or you can look in the mirror. So, dumb. This right here is an internet-connected water bottle that flashes if you're not drinking it enough. Dumb. Dumb. And then here, this will let you know if your toast is done. So, dumb. So, why does it matter then with IoT? So we'll start with saving babies. How many of you here have kids? Okay? Any of them newborns, infants? How old's your child?
1.5 hours.
Boy or girl? A girl. Awesome. When you were sleeping, when the baby was first born, were you worried, like, oh my God, is she going to wake up? Okay, that was, for me, all the time. First year, you're like, oh my God, is the baby okay? Does anyone know what it's called when a baby dies suddenly? It's called SIDS, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome, and it's also called SUID, Sudden Unexplained Infant Death. Sorry, this is going a little crazy here. Just in the United States alone, there were 3,700 unexplained baby deaths just in 2017. There are three types: sudden infant death syndrome, which is they died from SIDS, unknown causes, and accidental suffocation. And you can look at the 43% were from SIDS, 25% were from accidental suffocation. I can tell you this, my mom had a baby that passed away, and she was never the same afterwards. None of us want to think about our children dying. Even now, I've got children that are 19 and 17, and just the thought of them driving is almost a daily panic. But the thought of losing a child is incredible. So how many of you have heard of a product called the Owlet? Okay, the Owlet is a product that you put on a baby's foot, and that baby will actually, what it does is it measures pulse ox, so it tells you how much oxygen is going through your blood. And if there is not enough oxygen that's going through your blood for the baby, then you will automatically get notified. So I think, now it's expensive right now, I think it's $200 or $300. A lot of people can't afford it, but as we move on, things get cheaper. We are going to see that the amount of babies that die unexplained or during crib death is going to significantly increase. And I think that that is a tremendous way to improve people's lives. Mike, I didn't know you were sitting through this. You were going to be on the screen in just a minute. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Maniscalco. Golf clap. Okay. So Mike is the father of 5 children, 3 of which are just under 3, right? Just over 3, and 2 of which that are just 1 year old. First of all, I don't know how you're not completely gray, but I get it. But Mike, I'm going to tell your story, and then if people want to talk to Mike afterwards, you can. So Mike had in an article with CE Pro, one of Mike's triplets has juvenile diabetes. And I don't think you really identify or realize how hard juvenile diabetes is until you experience it. And so Mike actually figured out a way where he could hack into his son's glucose monitor. And so it was basically, took it so that your lights would turn on if his blood sugars got too low in the middle of the night. So that's another way where you're just thinking like, okay, well, what can I do? Well, if I have a client and I know that my client has a son that's got juvenile diabetes or whatever, these are the kind of things that we as entrepreneurs can figure out. So, Mike, are you still using this? Okay. Do you find it useful? More than anything, which is amazing. So you just think about diabetes as an example. So right now, this is according to the World Health Organization. From 1980 to 2014, the number of diabetes cases rose from 108 million to 422 million. Now, part of that is the increase in population. We realize the population is increasing, but we are seeing a large number of diabetics that are in the world. I will give a personal example. You'll see my father in a few minutes. My father has only got a couple months to live. He's in the end stages of kidney failure due to diabetes. So yours, Mike, is one solution when it comes to juvenile diabetes. But when we look at blood sugars, those kind of things, we'll start to see more and more products where we can actually pay attention to blood sugars and where things are going. So speaking of my father, so this is him just a couple months ago. He doesn't look like he used to. He's ravaged by dialysis, going through kidney failure. And so he lived with me for a long time. And he lived in my basement. And one day I had a flood, which there are ways to make sure that you don't have a flood like I had. But so I had to move him upstairs. And so he's 77 years old. He's in poor health. I move him upstairs. And one day I come down and I see him. It's probably 2 o'clock in the morning. And I see him holding a flashlight, a torch, to go to the restroom. And I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? And he's like, well, this is how I go to the bathroom. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, there's no switch, first of all. And second of all, it's just easier for me. So I said, all right. So the next morning, I went out and I got an Amazon Echo and I got Philips Hue bulbs, a couple $100. And I did a little test. I wanted to see how it would work. So I set it up. He had a couple of lamps that he had, set them up. So he had desk lamp and he had chair lamp. And then I said, Dad, when you want to go to the bathroom, middle of the night, say, Alexa, turn the lights on. Okay? Or even better, because as you get older, your eyes don't dilate as quickly. And so sometimes when people fall, they fall because the light is too bright and then they don't see as well. So Alexa, turn the bedroom lights on to 50%. So he'd get up, go to the bathroom. Then when he'd come back, when he was ready to fall asleep, Alexa turned the lights off, lights turned off. And I let him use it for 90 days because I just wanted to see as a test how it worked. And then I said, Dad, I've got to take the Echo back to work. And he's like, all right, well, it's okay. How much are they? And I said, well, they're $200 because this is before they got really cheap. He's like, well, I don't know if I really have $200. I said, okay. So this was at 8 o'clock in the morning. I took it by lunchtime, which, Jenny, what time do we eat? 11:30. Always 11:30. He called me and said, I couldn't live without it. I've already bought one. Will you set it up for me? And it was like those kind of things. And that's where I really feel like we aren't paying attention enough to how little things, in and of itself, Philips Hue bulbs might seem like a little gimmicky. Or an Amazon Echo, as an example, might seem a little gimmicky. But when you look at the conditions of the clients that you're serving, you can take these commoditized products and tailor them to their needs and improve the quality of life. Another example was I went to Comcast Innovation Lab. So Comcast is a large cable provider in the United States, similar to, well, Sky is satellite, but kind of that nature. And they have an accessibility lab. And the gentleman who worked at Comcast is actually a little younger than me, and he's going deaf and blind, which I can't even imagine going through that. But one of the things he showed me was for people who have ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And so by taking an off-the-shelf product, they now have the ability, if I have Lou Gehrig's disease, God forbid that I ever get it, and I can just stare at a button, and if I stare at that button for more than 3 seconds, it'll automatically press for me. So now I have the ability to make my life a little bit more normal than it was before. And so these are the kind of things that I am incredibly, incredibly optimistic about. So what are some of the other products that are coming out? These products have just been announced in the last couple of months. Did anyone hear about this right here? This is the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch wristband got FDA approval, which in the United States, that's really, really hard to do. And what it does is it tells you if you are about to have an atrial fibrillation heart attack. So it's not all heart attacks are created equal, but what it does is it basically measures how your heart is beating and can tell you in advance whether or not you're having a heart attack. This is from Omron. They make blood pressure monitors. They've come out with a new watch, and it will squeeze your wrist gently, especially in the middle of the night, and it can tell you what your blood pressure is, and especially your resting blood pressure, which is a really good indicator of your heart health. And so that's coming out. And then this one right here, which I love, is the Hip Air. Any of you hear about the Hip Air? The Hip Air is an inflatable bag, basically, that it detects whether or not somebody is falling. So you can see this goof right here, he's testing it out. But you'll notice right here, there is an airbag that pops out. And what it is doing is it is designed to prevent having a broken hip, which as you start to become elderly, breaking your hip significantly increases your risk of death. In fact, my really good friend Kendra, her mom fell and broke her leg. She was 73, 74, and died during the procedure to fix her leg, and this was just last June. So these kind of things are making it possible to improve people's quality of life and also help them live a little bit longer. Now, this is the one that I'm super, super hopeful about. So Walt and I, Walt's taking off. We were out in California a couple months ago at a standards meeting, and a doctor from the Mayo Clinic came out, and he talked to us about virtual reality. And you think, well, why do I really care about virtual reality and hospital care? They have been doing studies and have found that virtual reality with patients is as, if not more effective than opiates in treating pain. So I don't know how many of you know somebody who's been addicted to some kind of opiate such as Vicodin or Percocet or whatever. By using virtual reality, they are able to mitigate those kinds of addictions that are coming. The other thing is being in a hospital sucks. So going back to my dad, he was in the Cleveland Clinic for 6 weeks in the same hospital bed. And could you just imagine just sitting there and doing the same thing over and over again? What they're doing with virtual reality is then putting on the glasses and transporting you, even though you are ill, to other places. And it could be that they're taking you to a beach, or it could be that they're putting you right into the middle of the family room, and you're surrounded by the people that you care about who might be on the other part of the world. So VR as a medical device is really, really, really promising. Oh, sorry, this is really finicky. Two other things. Indoor air quality sensors, or IAQs, they're readily available right now, and those air quality sensors can be used to help monitor the actual quality of the air in the home. One of the things that we have noticed is that as we have insulated the houses more, the air quality in the home is actually less healthy than the air quality outside, which in some parts of the world, that's really saying something. So by using IAQ sensors, especially if you have somebody who has asthma, you can tell what's going on in the house in terms of the quality of the air, and then make steps to improve that air quality. And finally, I don't think, this isn't me endorsing Nest. I don't own a Nest product. But what I love about these two commoditized products, a Nest thermostat and a Nest Protect. The Nest Protect is a smoke detector. If there is a fire, most people do not die because they have died from the fire. What do they die from? Smoke inhalation. The smoke gets so intense that you pass out, and then you can't leave the building, and then, unfortunately, you burn to death. With this, what do you think the very first thing that happens when smoke is detected? Shuts off the blower. So in parts of the country where you have central air, it will blow air into a building, it blows air throughout, or heat. And so by automatically saying, I have detected a fire, shut off the blower so that it's not going anywhere. And then you also do other things like turn on pathway lighting. So darken areas that you don't want to go, turn on lightings that show the way to get out. You're significantly increasing your likelihood of escaping a catastrophic event. So What does this mean for you? What it means is I hear a lot of people who talk about commoditization, disintermediation. They're worried about prices products are getting cheaper, whatever. Your skill sets, what you should be selling is your intellectual property, your experience, your understanding, your knowledge, your wisdom. And so, yes, are there lots of products out there by themselves that a consumer can put in by themselves? Sure. But when you look at it as an entire ecosystem, and it's fun, it's safe, it improves your quality of life, there are tremendous opportunities. And for me, I think those opportunities exist for somewhere between the next 10 to 25 years, if not more. So, have I missed anything? Any questions? Okay, if you want to see this again or any of the other CEDIA talks, you can go to youtube.com/CEDIAHQ, and we will have them forever. Thank you.